Welcome back to part 2 of the Ranger CNC build. In this episode, we're going to be working on the table skeleton that will go over the base that we built in the last episode. So tune in. You may be asking yourself, what is a Ranger CNC? And in case you don't know, it is a DIY plywood CNC kit that we're making a great machine and for a fraction of the cost of what it costs to buy one of the competitors' machines. The one that I'm building is going to be a 5-foot by 4-foot machine. The kit also comes with plans that you could either build a 4 by 4-foot machine or a 2-foot by 4-foot machine. So whatever your space will accommodate, you can build. And if you ever want to build it later at a different size, you have the plans to do so. All right, so in the last episode, we finished building the table itself. And the next thing we're going to work on is the skeleton, like I said in the description here. Hey, it's Future Ryan here. I realized something as I was starting to edit this video that I didn't include talking about the actual 2x4s themselves. Typically these 2x4s are 3.5 inches wide. But we're going to actually cut them down to 3 inches. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set your fence on a table saw to cut 1/4 inch off of one side, and then put that side against the fence and cut the other side at 3 inches. So, do a 2-step process on that. I would also, a couple other things with the 2x4s. One, don't buy the garbage 2x4s, like buy the premium ones. You're going to have less knots and better wood for those. So just spend the extra couple bucks, get the better 2x4s for your Ranger. The other thing is when you're cutting out I like to strip them down after I've cut them down to a general size. I usually leave about a 1/2 inch extra length to them, and then cut them down to the 3-inch width, and then cut them actually to size. So I think that helps a lot too. So all right, Future Ryan signing off, going back to the rest of the video. You can see here I've already put in 4 of the 5 braces. They just will fit in here in the little notches that we've cut out of the side pieces. And they're just going to sit there for the moment. We're going to use this as a table. Okay, so we've gone ahead and I've grabbed one of the side pieces that are the 2x4s that we've cut down. So it's 1.5 inches wide and 3 inches tall. And now we're going to use the first of the 3D printed parts that you can get. If you have a 3D printer, the links to them will be in the description and on Maker World. If you do not have a 3D printer, you can get the 3D printed parts from our website, and we'll send that out to you. The first one that we're going to be using here is this little guy here. So this is going to space out properly for putting the side rails on. We're going to go ahead and drill everything for the side rails, and then later on we'll actually put them on. But it'll be a lot easier to deal with drilling the holes and everything while it's on top of the table. The other thing that you're going to need for this to make life a lot easier is one of these guys. If you're not familiar with what these are, this is a centering drill bit. So all you have to do is you just put it right here in the hole with the drill, and it will drill it straight down through the center point of that location. They use them a lot for doors, stuff like that, which is, lining up hinges. And I got this set at Home Depot, but I'll also put a link to a set like this from Amazon in the description. But you can see how they work. It just, as you push down, the drill bit comes out. So what we're going to do now is we're going to drill each of these holes along the way on the top and bottom. And then we're also going to mark this rail for this side. One thing I've noticed about these rails is that, yes, these holes here are equal distance. They're about 150 millimeters apart. but from the last one to the end, not always the same. So, you know, along the way, they'll be the same, but not necessarily the starting one. So I'm going to mark this one for being for the what I'm calling the left side of the table, and I'll do the other side for the far side. Okay, so now you can see we've gone ahead and set the linear rail here onto the 2x4, and we have our printed jigs here on the ends. And what this is going to do is it's going to equally space the ends of the rail down a 1/2 inch onto the sides here and here. I don't have a jig or anything for the holes themselves because although they are equal distance here, I think they're 150 millimeters here apart, they're not necessarily the same from here to here where they start on each linear rail, at least not the ones that I got. So we're going to use the rail here like this to get it figured out. Now it's time to attach the braces to these outer pieces. All right, so now you can see that I have the 2x4 and I marked it with an L for left-hand side, and I know what side is up, so the holes are going to be in the right place. I've gone ahead and I've put a clamp on both ends of it so it's nice and level to where the tabletop is going to be. Now, there's two different ways that you could go about what we're doing now. One is by just going off the measurements on the plans, but I feel the easier way is to do it the way that I'm doing it here. So the little jig that we used here, we're going to use it again right now. Just by flipping it upside down and putting it onto where these two meet, we'll have a nice alignment piece there. And then I drew a line through the middle there. And then I also notated it as number 1. And then number 2, 3, and 4. Of course, on the 4x4, you're not going to have number 4. On the 2x4, you're only going to have 1 and 2 on the table. So so now that those are marked, we can get ready for the pocket holes on this side. And then what I'll do is do the same thing to the far side. So let's get that done. I'm sure I'm going to get the question of how sturdy is this table. Let me just say that even without the center braces in it, I think if you grab this machine and try to shake it, and you try to grab like one of the Canadian machines, any of the Canadian machines, and you shake it with their metal feet and all that, I'm going to think that you're going to get more movement out of that metal machine than you will this. This thing is not moving. If it moves, the whole table moves. It does not shake or anything in any direction. I just realized I did forget to mention something earlier. So in the first video when we were putting together the table, I made mention of how this notch here in the center needed to be to the one side. And that is only for the 5x4 table and the 4x4 table. On the 2x2 table, this notch will be in the center. So it doesn't matter what side of the front face or back face that you have going out. This is where the little window comes into really good play here, because you just line it straight up into there, and it's going to be right where it needs to be. So everything should be nice and straight once you get it recut. Okay, so now the front and back pieces need to go onto the skeleton. What I did, which I found was the easiest way, was after you have already cut this to the proper length, you're going to measure in from the outside in by 4 3/16, center that up on with the side piece, screw that together. The other side, which is longer, should fall right into place. The reason that side is longer is because you actually have a drag chain that will hide kind of back in there. It doesn't, this front piece is not centered on the machine. Do that for the front and back, and then it's time to do the center braces. One thing I did notice as I was putting this together, this is only going to affect the 5x4 foot machines, is I was doing the same thing here with the pocket screws. I did 2 on the outside and 1 on the inside. Getting to that inside one with the regular pocket hole bit that's like 6 inches long doesn't work out very well. If you put a short one into like an angle drill or whatever, you have enough room in here to get that in. Otherwise, I would just leave it out if you don't have one of those handy. The other option really would be to come through the face and go through into the 2x4, but you'll need to make sure that the outside here is flush. Okay, now it's time to attach the braces to these outer pieces. So I've gone ahead and I've just set the one piece, the side piece here up on top of the table, and I put the right side one through the middle where the middle braces end up going, just to hold everything up on top. We're going to take our alignment jig, and I've actually been using both of them. When you print these out, print 2. It makes it a little bit easier. Then you don't have to worry about the 2x4 twisting or anything like that. On the side here, I put 2 pocket hole jig holes on this side and 1 in on this side. And I've gone the opposite on the other end. So I have 2 on this side, 1 on this side. And as you can see, I mean, it locks it in there nice and tight. So we just have to attach this one and that one, and then this will fall back down into its little pockets there, and we can put the other side on. So sweet. Okay, the next thing that we need to do is going to be the inner braces that come down here through the middle and on the side of the 5 foot by 4 foot and the 4 foot by 4 foot. On the 2 foot by 4, you're only going to have the center braces. You're not going to have any down this side. Now that those are in, I can go do the secondary braces there. Again, the secondary braces are because that the 4 foot wide piece of 1/2 inch that we're going to be using as our tabletop, it's going to be short of the overall width. So we put the extra 2x4s in there along the side as a brace to give us a place to land screws and stuff like that for the tabletop. Right, so like I just said, on the 2 foot by 4 foot, you don't have the brace that is here. The reason that this brace is even here at all, it's a nailing surface or screwing surface for the tabletop itself. So because you're going to be coming over with the tabletop to the 4 feet, so this puts it right in the center of that 4 feet, which is why it's off-centered, and then comes over here, and you have a second one for the edge of that and the remaining 4 inches, I believe, strip that will go down this side. But again, on the 2 foot by 4 foot, you don't have that because you're going to run the tabletop in a different direction than you do on these larger machines. Now that the center brace is put in all the way down the table, we have to move away from the braces for a minute to be able to attach the skeleton to the table base itself, at least for the 4x4 and the 5x4. On the 2x4, again, you don't have to worry about it because we don't, on the 2x4, you don't need the additional braces up along this side. What I've done is I've gone ahead and I've put in these number 12 1.5 inch screws that I had. And we ran them. I ran 2 in per bay, except for the small bay in the back that only has 1. And then did 2 in each of the backs there as well, and on the front piece here. So now that those are all in, I drilled them in about 1.25 inches down. The reason that I did that is because that puts you right about in the middle of this the linear rail that's going to go through here, and it's, there's no chance of messing it up and getting into some of the screws that are here. So that's where we are. Okay, and with that, the skeleton is on. So making great progress so far. The next thing that we're going to start working on in the next video is going to be the gantry. So that's going to be the major player here, and it's going to take a few videos to get that done. Below me here, you should be seeing some videos for the playlist, some links and all that good stuff. So if you need to rewatch the other videos, it's a quick, easy way to do so. Until then, we'll see you next time.